Hello, traders. Gary Wagner here, approximately 1:30 in Honolulu, 7:30 in New York on Tuesday, 21st day of September 2021, and this is the daily report for gold and silver. The FOMC meeting for the month of September began today. It will conclude tomorrow, and immediately there will be a statement released. That is when we will get the first indication about the Federal Reserve's intent on tapering, the timeline to begin, and maybe some clarity as how they look to taper, how much per month. Also, they will release a updated dot plot, which will give us projections of interest rate normalization through 2024. While I don't know what will the outcome be, I can tell you that on today's show, we are going to look at resistance levels and support levels to define where we think gold could go, depending on what is said. Traders, investors, and market participants will gain clarity as the Federal Reserve completes its FOMC meeting tomorrow, which will be followed by a statement and a press conference from Jerome Powell. Currently, we have December gold up $11.20. Some of it is posturing before the conclusion of the FOMC meeting, and some of this is due to concerns over the real estate company in China that has the potential to become insolvent, and their current debt is roughly $40 billion. For the second day in a row, we saw moderate gains in gold, and closing in New York with about an $11 gain. Currently, we are fixed at $17.7560, roughly 60 cents above the close in New York. You can see that with this small candle. The other thing that's noteworthy, but with a huge caveat, is that we can identify a variation off of a pattern simply called a three-river morning star. That would be these three candles here. But this candle here is not a large green candle, but when added to today's activity, truly is indicative of that formation. However, the key right now is not so much technical indicators, but what the Fed will announce tomorrow or not announce tomorrow. Will they set a timeline for the onset of tapering? And what insight can we glean from their projections of interest rates going forward, and most importantly, to see if it is a unified projection. In other words, the dot plot will list how many voting members are looking to increase interest rates by how much and at what time period. So based on that, if there is an announcement on tapering, we want to look at different levels of support that come into the market. And if they do not announce their guidelines for when they'll begin to taper, we would want to look at areas of resistance, because that would be construed as a very bullish component taking gold higher. The first level of resistance comes in at the 38.2% fib retracement. We can see that the market is kind of stuck right at that price point. That occurs at $1,776. The next level of resistance would have to be based upon the 50-day moving average at $1,795. Then, of course, 1,800, which is the 23.6%. And then above that is the 100 and 200-day moving averages. There are divisions amongst analysts as to whether or not we will get a concrete timetable or an announcement as to when they will begin tapering tomorrow. I think that my personal sense is that will occur in November, and we will see tapering begin as early as December or Q1 of 2022. However, I'm not going to try to guess what the Federal Reserve will say, but we can react to it once the statement is released. We'll have a clear indication of whether or not we expect gold to rise or fall based on an announcement or lack of an announcement. The other thing is that the dot plot is very revealing in that it shows us if there's really a harsh divide between voting members of the Fed, because each member is going to be putting their mark, so to speak, on that dot plot. And if it's a unanimous decision where all the voting members are looking to raise rates by X amount at this period of time, it is a much higher likelihood that that would occur, all things being equal. So for that reason, we will remain flat as we go into the conclusion of the Federal Reserve and look to react quickly if we feel that that is the proper course of action. The dollar provided very, very fractional tailwinds. 93.22 is the current print. We're looking at a daily candlestick chart of the dollar index, and it is clear, and we have seen the dollar really move up since the beginning of this month when it was trading at around 91.80. It's at 93.20, which means that we've seen well over a full percentage point in terms of its gain in value when weighed against a basket of currencies. Our technical studies indicate the current levels of resistance to be at 2 points. The first point is based upon this top that came in April when the dollar index was at 93.47. You can see that we found some potential resistance in yesterday's intra-high. And then, of course, at this top that occurred in about the middle of August when the dollar index traded as high on an intraday basis as 93.75. And silver had a solid gain today of 1.27% and is currently fixed at $22.48.5. We are looking at a daily chart of December silver, and clearly this is the first day in quite some time where we've seen the market actually have the potential to form a V formation as we have hit this bottom with a small bodied candle in yesterday's trading. And a recovery in U.S. equities today, I believe, is one of the reasons we saw silver have such dramatic gains. Currently in Australia, we have silver at $22.50.5. This has been Gary Wagner, wishing you, as always, good trading. We'll talk to you tomorrow for the next daily update and review. Bye-bye.